Oh, Michael is here. So let me asking the panelist. Okay, I think we are live on YouTube. So welcome everybody. This is going to be the last meeting of the security team for September. So yeah, let me, if please add your names to the list. Let me set the document on the chat. Yeah, okay, thank you, Michael. Yeah, so basically, first topic in the agenda today. Well, first of all, there is any announcement that anyone want to make? Okay, no announcements. So yeah, first of all, vulnerability report. I think is going to be the first one.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything new on that front to discuss.
Yeah,
Still have some work that we'd like to do in terms of like recursive dependencies and checking for V8, but there's nothing too new. And I guess, yeah, nothing new anyway.
Yep. Okay, that's okay. Let me put a note for that. Yeah, also, if you want to help me with the note, it will be fantastic. Okay, so next one is the scorecard monitor review. So there is an issue which is 1119, which basically has the last report. The biggest differences are the Canary in the Gold Mine report, which has increased almost 1 point. I think that's because there is a lot of pull requests ongoing. So we made a lot of reviews for the last pull request, and we increased the coverage a little bit. So also, there is a book that I discovered if you check out the Delta report. So it's comparing different criteria together in the two repos. So I created an issue on the visualizer to see if we can fix that book for the next meeting. So I was discussing with Eva, who is the maintainer for that, and seems like she's going to work on that soon. So potentially we have a fix, but yeah, overall the scoring has increased almost 1 point, so that's a very good news. Also in Node.js we have decreased 0.4, which is the major decrease in this list this time. Yeah, checking out the deltas, seems like most of the issue are due to unreviewed change sets and things on that related more than anything else. I think, yeah, and also it's a little bit polluted in the comparison. So, for example, if you check the branch protection and the token permissions, both are compared. So when you see the differences are not very clear, that's because it's messed up with the in the visualizer. So as soon as we fix that, it will be more clear for all of us to understand these reports. And hopefully that's the last fix that we need to do for the tool. But yeah, aside of those two, the rest are quite not big changes, like 0.1 dot added or remove it overall. So yeah, so I think that's for the scorecard report. So I will merge the pull request that we have generated this morning, which is 1122. That will close also that issue. And we can move to the next topic in the agenda if we're okay with it.
One quick question, and I don't know if you know the answer, but I'm looking at license for Node add-on API, and it says 9 out of 10. I'm wondering why that's not 10 out of 10.
Oh, in which one?
It's in Node add-on API. Like here, I can. Here, maybe I'll just share quickly.
Oh, yeah, please.
One is that. So I'm trying to find the right. I think it's this one. So project determines the license as defined license. So it says info license found expected location, right?
Yep.
Or on any license detected, not an FSS or OSI recognized license.
That's tricky because I think the license is correct, right?
Yeah, I look through and the license is like an MIT license. If I go back to here, right, and I look at license.md, it says MIT.
Yeah, seems like very standard MIT license. Let me
Yeah.
check the node one to see if maybe there is anything different on the format of the document. Yeah, I think, well, Node.js has a different license, right?
Yeah, Node.js
Like
has a
more
whole bunch
complex.
of licenses and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's much more complex, but like, let's see, like Nan exactly. Let's see what it says. Oh, sorry. Nan view license. It says 10 out of 10. So
Yeah, I think maybe because it's a markdown format, so it doesn't pass through the regex that they are using.
Yeah, maybe also some text
Yep.
differ slightly. So
Yep.
I think most detector will use like maybe just MIT licenses at the beginning. So yeah, maybe things like that.
Yep. I think maybe
anyway,
it's
okay.
something
I
related.
just asked if like maybe you're like, oh yeah, I've seen that, but if not, I'll look
No,
at that.
that's a new thing, but yeah, I can have a look into it. So yeah, let me
Actually, the interesting thing here is like on the other one, this showed up as MIT, whereas it didn't, like it doesn't show up here in GitHub, right? You know, and then when it showed up, it popped up at the top. So it's interesting that way. Okay. Anyway, I didn't want to derail, but I just thought if you had a great quick idea easily then, but
no, I think maybe it's related to the format of the document itself and how they use regex or something to identify it. So yeah, but I can bring that to the team in the next session. That's going to be I think it's on Mondays if I remember well, so I can bring that to the team. Okay.
Okay.
That sounds good. So we are going to the next topic in the agenda. So is discussion about the SBOM. So basically is issue 1115. Let me also share it on the chat. So yeah, I think we have a discussion ongoing if we should pick an SBOM format. I think Beth made some really good points last week. Yeah, but I think as Rafael and Marco are not here, so maybe we don't have the forum to discuss this in details right now.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Although it is a good thing to move forward on when we got the right people. So
No, let me promote also Darcy, who was on the attendees. Okay. Okay, so yeah, we can move to the next one then. So yeah, license checker process script, which is 1104. This is related to previous discussion that we have about the licenses. If there is any change in the licenses for our dependencies. I think this was related to the last changes on one of the submodules for the npm 10. If I remember well, that's how we bring this topic. So the idea was to kind of build a script related to that. So in the previous discussion, we agreed that we need to create an issue at least to start tracking this initiative, and it's not very sure yet how we want to materialize it. I think Andrea was volunteering also to help us in the issue, as far as I can see. Side note from me, when I say like I added some bullet points of optional things, it doesn't mean that we really need to have like a GitHub action or having some kind of triggers. I mean, it's an open discussion on how to monitorize it. But basically, the target is going to be like to see if anything has changed in the licenses. But yeah, I think that can be a little bit tricky.
I'm working on that for NetSecures. I'm working around detecting licenses and things like that, and it can be quite a challenge to do it properly.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a challenge. Yeah, go ahead, Michael.
I think like unless there's, we can't meet it with the requirements, we probably want to find some existing license checker as opposed to inventing a new one. Like basically find an existing one and then, put the automation around it to run it against the projects. And I think even like the Linux Foundation was doing some work on that front in terms of a deeper, but anyway, my key thing is like, let's try and reuse something, because as people mentioned, it's actually quite tricky.
Yep.
So figuring that out again doesn't seem like a good, use of our time.
Yeah, I think in the case of JavaScript ecosystem, it's easier. I mean, I see a lot of options for license checker there, but I think when we are using other dependencies like C++ dependencies or sub-dependencies in other modules and so on, or other stack, I think it's trickier for us, and Node.js has a lot of different pieces, right? Because this is going to affect only to the licenses that are related to the bundle. I mean, to the final product of Node itself, right? Not to all the dependencies that we use to build it, just the final binary, right? Okay. Yeah, so in that case, then I think the scope is less than I expected, than I imagined. So that's good news. But yeah, it's still to be a little bit tricky. So yeah, I think maybe next topic is next thing to move this ahead is to try to come up with a little team of people who are interested in joining this adventure and see how we can solve it. So if anybody of you want to join to this, just reply to the issue and let's try to bring some discussion around it on how to achieve this. I think Marco was interested to join because he also was doing a lot of work with the dependencies. So definitely he was part of it. But yeah, if anybody want to join also for the people who are watching this also, I think it's a very good issue to start with in the working group.
I think Darcy has an interesting point that he's asking if the idea is to generate an SBOM and, maybe do a diff on that. I think we'd still want to run maybe some existing license checkers, because the gap here was that we already generate a license file that should have all the licenses in it, but our gap was that we added something new and didn't detect that. So I think we want a deeper search for things we didn't find, versus our SBOM generation will find what we already kind of know about. Or so I don't know, Darcy, if you want to add to that.
Yeah, sorry, I'm in a noisy coffee shop, so I didn't want to. Hopefully, my audio isn't too bad. But yeah, I know that the default tooling, like you referenced before, that the license wasn't getting picked up for Node add-on API. It seems like the OpenSSF scorecard is using just the GitHub license API, which uses the RubyGem licensee. So if potentially whatever scripts that a node is using to detect is also using licensee, it might have gaps in its understanding of licensing, which is why I'm saying maybe there's a more general tool to actually be pulling out, instead of building a custom script, maybe you can, for generating licenses, we could change the current tooling to actually use like SBOM generated graph of all the dependencies that are in your project, and then use that to extract the licenses. So that's why I'm asking maybe what's the current tooling look like, because it sounds like that needs to change if there's gaps in its understanding. And if it was specifically, are you saying the issue was something that was in JavaScript specifically in NPM? It missed a
No, it was in Node. Well, it was in NPM, but and your answer on the tooling, there is no automated tooling. It's basically a manual process that when people land PRs, if there's something new being added, we need to make people say, okay, well, your PR needs to include an update to the main node license to include that new license.
Oh, I see. Okay. So because technically like NPM should be distributing all the licenses for its dependencies as well. Like it has tooling. I'm trying to find it right now, but it should be also generating a single license file with all of its dependencies essentially in one single place as well. So to make that easier for Node to essentially pull that up would be would be helpful.
This issue is basically to create some tooling that will catch, like, hey, there's it can scan the NPM licenses, however the right way, and like basically say, did we add a license? And
does seem SBOM,
at the very least review manually whether it's in the. I think you're right that like ideally we'd get to the point where like Node had an SBOM and we could programmatically list the licenses, and if the scanner found something that wasn't in there, then it would be like, wait a second.
Yeah, like that seems like I'd be interested if there was some work, if people had time to just run some of the existing SBOM tooling and see what got generated for Node. Like it might be that it captures already this use case, but it would also be good to know what the diff is between the current tooling for SBOM generators and this like custom license tooling, right? Because then it's like if we know that the current tools don't pick up certain licenses, like then we would probably want to go contribute back to those tools, right? So
Right. Like a lot of them for Node are not JavaScript. Like, we've got the V8, we've got,
yeah, that's why I'm saying
C3.
something
There's all sorts
more
of native things as well, but
exactly. That's why I'm saying something that's more high level, like SBOMs are generally supposed to be cross environment, like cross ecosystem. So they're not supposed to be specific to JavaScript, right? So that's why I'm not recommending like using npm, like a npm specific like license tool.
Yeah, like it would be interesting to see if we could get to the point where each dependency had an SBOM. Like maybe that's the way to store machine readable, like, I don't know. Yeah. Okay. In the fullness of time, hopefully every one of our dependencies would have an SBOM, and then we could just use that as in addition to, to scanning.
Yeah,
so npm would have one. The
npm should have one.
Right.
That's the concern I have. Like if npm isn't giving you that information easily, and it somehow got lost in a PR, and we didn't provide, or I shouldn't say we, but like npm did provide that information, then that's like a problem that I know that team would want to try to fix.
Yeah, I think it's just the manual process today.
Yeah, I think that's there's a very good discussion. Yeah, I think the SBOM path is it's a very good way to explore and very aligned to the previous issue that we discussed about SBOM anyway. So yeah, let's see with the team how far we can get with that. Okay, so next one is issue 1037, which is related to the audit build process for dependencies. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I think this is more related to Marco and Rafael, I think. So maybe we don't have the forum today.
Yeah, I think somehow that. Oh, okay. I'll just cut the end off. But yeah, no, Marco led a good session to discuss how to move forward. He made a comment. So I think that one's, on track to breaking out the work and getting people involved. And there was a few people who were involved there. So yeah, I think that can defer discussing it until Marco's here, but just to say it's like he did lead that session and is moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Good. Okay. Next topic in the agenda is 953, which is related to the CII best practices. So basically regarding this, we have some issues. I think the most remarkable right now is we have some issues with the OpenSSF scorecard. Well, not with the scorecard, sorry, with the tool, because when we try to when Rod tried to edit the silver level, we also got removed from the previous passing level. So we lost the bronze or the passing level, and also the progress that we made in the code. So they are trying to fix and see what happened there. So once that fix, hopefully we can finally submit the silver and we can finally move ahead. So that's going to be like a big win for us if we manage to solve that out. And the next thing is to go with the goal level that I didn't have the time yet to go in all the discussions and include some details. So probably I will do that after my holidays. So like in a 3 weeks period. But if anyone want to go ahead and help a little bit with that also, more than welcome if any of you have time for that in the next week or two. Okay, so I think next one on the agenda is the permission model, which is 898. Yeah, not so sure how many news we have around it. I see some pull requests related to this lately Node, but not 100%, at least myself up to date. So not very sure if maybe Carlos or Michael, you are more aware of it, or we should wait for Rafael on the next meeting.
Yeah, I think I would just say let's no update this week.
Yeah, I'm working through one of the points there, but I'm still wrapping my head around how V8 and passing objects between the C++ side and the JS side works, so I can move forward with that. So
Okay. Okay. Okay, so progress ongoing. Yeah, I think the last next topic in the agenda is the 860, which is related to the automate security release process. I think there are not going to be any news this week with that because Marco is not here currently, and I don't remember anything boiled to comment right now. So I think it's still ongoing. So I think that's okay. And the last topic in the agenda, which is regarding the assessment against best practices, which I think currently we are focused on the CI best practices, and we don't have anything aside. There are some requirements discussing about that if we might want to pick this up again, but that's a secondary thing. Is like we have this requirement of publicly known medium/high vulnerability unpatched for more than 60 days, which is the issue 986. That is maybe something that we can pick up. I think is one of the. I think is the last topic that we have from the silver level research. So yeah, Rafael suggested to close it as completed. I was pretty sure that we can close it as completed. So if nobody is against this, we can just close it. Okay. So in that case, then I will close the issue. And if anyone want to reopen it, feel free to reopen it. Still discussing about it. So yeah, I think that it's all for the official agenda of today, but yeah, there is anything else that you want to discuss? An additional topic? Okay, nothing else. One side note from my side, I will be off in the next, while the next meeting is going to take place. So I will try to run the analysis for the scorecard for the meeting, but I won't be on the meeting. That's the only requirement. So if we need an additional chair for the next meeting, then maybe Michael, if you can help us, or Marco, I think.
Yep.
Marco is almost having the permissions and so on. So yeah, I think we have enough people to chair the meeting in any case for the next meeting, so it's all fine. Okay, so that was all for today meeting. Thank you so much. See you soon.
Okay, thanks.
thanks, bye.